Okay, it's drawer making time. The drawer that's going to go on the top of this cabinet is 18 by 30 approximately, and then about 2¼ inches deep, you know, minus where the drawer bottom will fit in there. Probably end up being about 1.5 inches, you know, actual use of depth, somewhere in that neighborhood. But I picked out some 3/4 inch Baltic birch that I'm going to use for the sides. I know that that's thick for a drawer, but I want this thing to have some sturdiness to it, because it's not going to be on any, it's a mechanical operating type drawer, I guess I'll put it that way. It's not going to have any glides or anything like that. So I'm going to use 3/4. I've got a piece picked out for my front. That's that piece there, and now that I think about it, I may just fasten that directly to the thing rather than having it be a false front. I'll think about that. Okay, this cabinet is fairly square. You know, I don't know if there's ever anything built that is perfectly square, especially something this size. But my dilemma here is this opening is got a bit of a taper to it. It's wider here than it is here. This is narrow. And this is that part I was telling you about that's got that little lip on it. But even at that, the trim piece, these two pieces come together a little bit down at this end. So I've got to create the illusion of square, tapering this front and then having the two sides being this side being a little bit thinner than this one, and then the back will also have to have a taper to match this front as well. So I'm going to have to do some handwork here, I believe. I'll cut this, I'll rip this to full thickness that I want on this end, taper it to get it to sit in here the way I want, give me the reveal I want, and then go to work on these other pieces. The side pieces will be very easy to make. The back piece will just have to match this, I guess. We'll see how that turns out. But at any rate, I've got some work to do on this. I'm going to orient this board. Let's see if it's going to make any difference for hand planing. Yeah, I guess I'll put it this way. I'll have to plane in this direction, coming up. All right, I'm very close. It actually does go in the opening, but I've got a little more fine tuning to do. And now that I've gotten to the point where I want to be, I've got this thing locked in here so I can get better results with my plane here. So it was still a little tight along this edge, and I could see daylight down there. So I'm just trying to kind of match the contour I'm working with there. I'm using a square. I've got a little more reveal on this end than I do down here. And the middle is almost touching. Well, it is right there. There's no movement right there. So I'm going to make some pencil marks here and work on this area. Shape that a little bit. Probably work from here back, and then right again. So here. Back to here. All right, that looks good. I've got a nice uniform gap, and it's still probably a little wider than it needs to be, but I think if I take one pass on the joiner across the bottom, that'll give me a nice reveal on both top and bottom. I have to shoot the end grain to get that reveal to look good, but looking at it now, you'd never know that that piece wasn't nice and square. Like I said, it gives you that illusion, and that's all you can ask for at this point. All right, I'm gonna work on those sides, cut those to length. I've decided I'm just gonna fasten the front to the Baltic birch directly, just do a tongue and groove joint, and then same in the back. Cut the openings for the drawer bottom, and we should be good to go. All right, this is my first run at this with the dry fit. I got my drawer bottom cut to size. It's just a hair too long. I can see that. So I'll make that adjustment, but I think it'll still go. Let's just try it here and see what happens. Alright, that's a nice fit, other than the fact that I've got to make that bottom just a little bit shorter in length. And there are no guides on the side here either to help with that. But those will be custom made to keep it centered and give me the reveal I want. That looks pretty good. The depth of the drawer, what did I do with my tape? Here it is. I ended up about 1.75 inches. Here's how I achieved that. As deep a drawer as I could get. This is about 1/8 inch here on the bottom. And that is very weak. I have to be very careful. This will break off, really easily. Even I've had them break off when I've, had them at 1/4 inch thick. But this is very, very tender. So I'm gonna pay close attention to that. Once it gets glue in there, then it's not a problem. But up until that time, you've got to be real careful of something that thin. Okay, this is all just dry fitted together. I haven't glued anything yet. I've got 2 runners in here, drawer guides. This one is shorter than the side because I forgot to account for the post, for the legs. I cut them both the same length. It's not a big deal. So once I push it in here, it feels good. And there's flush. So I think with a little sanding, I don't want to take any off of these because right now they're flush with the inside here. That's just a little proud. This one is flush. This one is just a hair proud, but they're the same thickness. So maybe I could take a little off of this one. I'm let me take one hand plane shaving off of that one. See how it operates then. All right, now that I got the drawer fitted, and it operates really quite nicely, I want to put the finishing touches on this by adding these runners that'll sit up here on top, and they'll be just above the sides of the drawer. I'm marking for these notches in. These don't have, it's not critical that these things be perfect, but I'm just taking a straight edge, mark that distance there, do the same thing on the back side, and bring it in and get this measurement. And kind of connect the dots. So when that sits in there, that'll give me the reveal. I'll get the one on the back side here as well. They should be the same. At least I'm going to cut them that way. There we go. Now this one looks like the clearance will be really nice because I can get this out of there again. What's happening is it's sitting on that little plywood ledge that we used earlier for the bottom shelf. That lip is just above this drawer side. So all I'm going to do with this one is just put some glue on here, and a little in the notch, not a lot, because I don't want it to end up on the drawer, and glue this one in place right on top of that. And the other one, I'm going to take 2 credit cards and set them on top of the drawer side, then drop this down, glue this edge to that plywood over there. You'd have to imagine that the plywood is right here. And then setting it on top of those credit cards will give me the clearance I want. Well, in actuality, the clearance ends up being the thickness of my ruler here. So I'll use that on the other, on top of the drawer, and then they'll be the same clearance. All right, my drawer stop. I debated upon whether to make them corner stops, 2 of them, a panel, or just a center one. And the reason I decided to go with a center one is because if I put a panel in here, anything that was pushed back with the drawer and got caught back here would be kind of hard to clean out. And if you put them in the corners, the same thing would happen there as well. Stuff that got pushed back and jammed in the corner would be kind of tough to clean right in, in these tight spots. So I settled on this center one. Yeah, stuff can get caught in this line here as well, but you're able to pull this out and push the debris, in 2 directions. So that's my reasoning on going with this thing. So I drew a center line here. I've got 2 marks that are 2 inches either side of it. So this is about centered, and this is 4 inches. Put a couple bevels on it. The other thing I did was I put a little notch right here as well. That's so that it seats nice and tight against the back of the drawer. and doesn't get hung up on this little plywood lip here. So, and then that also gives it a, you know, a little bit of relief for any junk that might get in there as well. And that is the final piece I'm putting on this project. Thanks for watching.